Stories about America to read aloud. Number 1, the National Anthem. Boom! Two ships lay in Chesapeake Harbor. One was the gunboat Surprise, a part of the British fleet. The other was a small American boat that was a prisoner of the warship. Boom! Boom! The guns of the Surprise were bombarding the shore. On the small boat, a young man anxiously paced the deck as he watched the battle between the warship and Fort McHenry on the shore. Fort McHenry guarded the city of Baltimore, Maryland, and the British wanted to capture the city. It was an accident that the little American boat was out in the water with the enemy vessels. Here's how it happened. In the fall of the year 1814, the United States and Great Britain were at war, and the British had captured an American doctor and taken him to their ship. The doctor had a good friend back on shore named Francis Scott Key. Mr. Key got permission to go under a flag of truce to try to have the doctor set free. A small American boat, the Minden, took him to the British ship. By accident, he arrived just as a battle was about to begin. The British naval officers agreed to free the doctor, but they said the American boat could not go back until the battle was over. They were afraid that Mr. Key and the doctor would reveal the plan of attack to the Patriots on shore. They put a guard on the Minden to make sure the Americans did not leave. Boom! 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 All day the great British guns thundered. From the deck of the Minden, Francis Scott Key could see the American flag flying over the walls of Fort McHenry. It was a brave sight, but he wondered how long the fort could hold out. He knew that the McHenry guns were small, and that the fort had only a few defenders. Boom! 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 Night fell, and the British guns kept up their steady pounding, and now the anxious young man on the Minden could not tell how the battle was going. In the dark, he could not see if the banner of stars and stripes was still flying above the fort. He was too worried to sleep. Instead, he paced back and forth across the Minden's narrow deck all night, straining his eyes to pierce the black night that hid the shore. All he could see were the shells bursting and the red glare of the rockets. Was the flag still there? Or was the hard-pressed fort hauling down its banner and getting ready to surrender to the enemy? For 30 hours the battle raged. Then, shortly before morning, the firing stopped. At last, dawn came, but it was no help to Francis Scott Key. He still could not tell how the battle had gone, because thick smoke filled the air. The smoke was like a great gray curtain shutting off the shore. Suddenly, at 7 o'clock on that morning, there came a break in the smoke clouds. For a moment, it was as if the gray curtain had been pulled aside. And there, by the dawn's early light, Mr. Key saw the stars and stripes still flying over the gallant fort. He knew then that the Americans had won the battle. The British had lost their chance to capture Baltimore. Exultantly, the excited young man pulled a letter from his pocket, and on the back of the envelope he began to write down words to express his happiness and thanksgiving that the flag was still there. He wrote busily for several moments. Although he did not know it then, those were important moments in the history of our flag. For the poem scribbled on the back of the envelope began, "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming?" The words were easily recognized today, of course. They are the first few lines of the national anthem of the United States. The beautiful poem that Francis Scott Key wrote that early morning was later set to an old melody that most Americans knew. It became a patriotic song, loved by all Americans. Now it is the most important patriotic song we have. Today, whenever the Star-Spangled Banner is played or sung, we all stand up as a mark of respect to our country. And with full hearts we raise our voices to join in the thrilling words that Francis Scott Key wrote that long ago morning on the deck of the Minden. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.